All right, well, hello everyone and happy Tuesday. It's digital host A.J. Wuest here, welcoming you back to Before the Four, the live stream where I talk about some of 48's top news stories and then some before the 4 o'clock newscast, wherever you're watching Before the Four today, whether that's on Facebook, YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream. Thank you so much for watching and spending just a bit of your Tuesday afternoon here. Now, we have quite a bit to jump into, so let's just start things off. Let's begin in Danville, where we recently learned that a person is dead following a shooting this afternoon. Now, the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office told the 48 News crew on the scene that authorities responded to a call around 1:15 this afternoon after a person was reportedly shot. The shooting happened on County Road 200 in Danville. Now, at this time, there's still no word on whether a suspect has been identified or if they're in custody. The shooting remains under investigation, but stay tuned to our evening newscast for any updates that we might have. But now let's get into the weather. Winter today is wanting to stick around for a little while longer here in early April. Tomorrow morning, we can expect some frost before it finally fully commits to warming up. And now Thursday has been declared a 48 First Alert weather day. We have 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis with everything you need to know ahead of tomorrow's morning drive to work, as well as Thursday's First Alert weather.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. What you see behind me, this is going to be Thursday. The weather is going to change rapidly. We're going from freezing temperatures and a widespread frost tonight to strong and potentially severe thunderstorms now for Thursday. This almost caught us off guard, but what we're looking at is some really cold air aloft, which is going to create an environment for some strong and potentially severe thunderstorms. The main concern this go around is that of large hail. So we will have to watch this very closely as we go through Thursday afternoon. It's a First Alert weather day now. We'll be talking more about this coming up at 4, 5, 6, and again at 10 o'clock tonight. We'll get that timing down for you too. Right now, just a beautiful day. It's just on the cool and breezy side, 57. A lot of pollen blowing around, 57 in Huntsville, but still cooler yet up in Fayetteville. So this is a classic example of if you don't like the weather now, just give it a few hours and it is going to change. Over the next 12 hours, we go from the 50s to the 40s rather quickly tonight. Cover those plants if you can. Everything that's hardy to this temperature zone should be fine out there. Some of those trees have started to bud as well. Some of those fruit trees too. But right now, I think most of the trees are going to be in good shape. Here's what we're looking at over the next 3 days. Thursday, hailstorms possible. We're talking probably a lot of nickel-size hail, but we could have quarter-size to golf ball size too if the storms get strong enough. So that's why we want to give you that first alert for that. Then down to 63, mostly cloudy with areas of drizzle, especially early in the day Friday. Tomorrow morning, we start off around freezing. Most of us will see frost. Not all of us will get down to freezing, though. And as we go through the day, temperatures will quickly warm to near 70 degrees. So overall, tomorrow, probably the nicest day of the week. And then we focus on Thursday. Here's a quick look at it. The morning will be dry, but getting muggy. A few clouds passing. And as early as 1:30, a few of these isolated, stronger thunderstorms, potentially producing hail, start to move in, and they could continue into the early evening hours. Again, stay tuned. I'll have more on that Thursday, First Alert weather day for the potential for large hail.
And make sure you stay tuned tonight here in the CTV Center. 48's Brad Travis will be giving the latest he knows at that time. So weather extra tonight, don't forget about it. Now moving out to the Shoals, a second person now faces charges in connection to the disappearance of a woman later found dead in Colbert County. Now, Courtney Staggs, her remains were identified 11 months ago. They were found off Jarman Road back in 2020. Court records just made public today that Perrin Dillard had been indicted by a Colbert County grand jury on a charge of corpse abuse. Dillard is scheduled for an arraignment hearing April 24th. Sheriff's investigators arrested Orlando Whiteside on a corpse abuse charge this case last year. Whiteside's trial is scheduled to begin June 9th. But now, moving out to Morgan County, where we learned that a jail inmate attacked 2 correction officers with a shank on Saturday. Earl Bates Jr. was charged and arrested with murder in April of 2022. This was in Lawrence County. Now, at the time, Bates was transferred to the Morgan County Jail due to a history of violence with Lawrence County corrections officers. On April 5th, officials say Bates refused to return his cell. When corrections officers responded, authorities say Bates attacked two of them with a shank, which is of course a handcrafted sharpened instrument, striking both of them in the face and the neck. Bates was pepper sprayed and taken into custody, and the officers are expected to be okay. They were evaluated at Decatur Morgan ER. Officials say they have both returned to work. Bates was rehoused in the Lawrence County Jail while investigators obtained warrants for assault. But now heading into a story in case you missed it, in a bit of state news, a new bill that was already passed through the Alabama Senate is aiming to make it easier for parents to exempt vaccinating their child due to religious reasons. 48's Nick Ballinger with details on that new bill.
It's part of a back-to-school routine. Buying pencils, new clothes, and making sure your child is up to date on their vaccines. That is, if you don't submit a vaccine exemption form for religious reasons. A bill which has already passed through the Alabama Senate is looking to make that process easier for parents. Huntsville pediatrician Dr. Diana Linderoth says she's seeing more and more parents opting not to vaccinate their kids.
I think it's important to explain to parents what the purpose of the vaccine is, how it works, what it's for, and why we recommend it. And if they choose not to do it, then, they choose not to do it.
Under the current law, parents have to submit a form to the Public Health Department sharing the reason behind the exemption. Senate Bill 85 would cut that step out completely, no longer requiring parents to explain their reasoning. This means more children could be exempt from the currently required measles vaccine.
The MMR vaccine is actually one of the most effective vaccines that we have. But measles is also one of the most contagious illnesses that exists.
The CDC has confirmed 607 cases nationwide of measles this year. 97 of those were unvaccinated people, and a large majority are from a religious group in Texas.
If you're not vaccinated, then you just don't have protection, because it's not likely, like with other diseases, that you would just see it in the natural world.
Dr. Wes Stubblefield with the Alabama Department of Public Health says the vaccine is the only way to stop the spread. He says children receiving a second dose before kindergarten has always been effective.
And we know that one dose is statistically about 93% or better effective. And after a second dose, it's more than 97% effective at lifelong immunity from measles.
Well, yesterday, a man charged with murder for killing his wife in front of his one-year-old daughter pled guilty to an amended charge of manslaughter. 48's Callie Neese with the rest of the story.
Jones walked into the courtroom today as a free man out on bond and walked out in handcuffs, facing a 20-year sentence. Jones was originally facing capital murder charges for shooting his wife, Erin Jones, in front of their daughter. The state amended those charges to manslaughter, a Class B felony with a maximum sentence of 20 years. Maggie Wallace, a deputy district attorney, says this is because of the intent. Jones was intoxicated at the time of the shooting, making his intent questionable.
If put to a jury can consider whether or not the intoxication itself was a factor and whether it prohibited a defendant from forming that specific intent.
Wallace says that she has been in contact with Erin Jones's family through the whole process. She says everything, including the plea, was discussed with them prior to today's hearing.
And we did talk about the charges and talk about the trial or possible trial, and we certainly discussed the plea with them, the offer that we were going to make, and reducing the charge to manslaughter. All of that was discussed with them prior.
Erin Jones's mother, Tiffany Tompkins, did not want to go on camera just yet, but she shared this statement with me. Quote, "We were hoping for a different outcome, but we know the DA's office and all the investigators did a great job. We think of our Erin every single day, and we know that justice will be served for the brutal murder of our girl and the endangerment and trauma of our sweet Amelia. He is locked up now, and I pray he serves every single day of his 20-year sentence." Jones was taken out of the courtroom in handcuffs to Madison County Jail, where he will await his sentencing. Reporting in Huntsville, Callie Neese, 48 News, on your side.
And now in Gunnersville, where a man was recently arrested for killing his wife in a shooting at a home on Kelly Road. 48's Faith Delp reports.
Chief Investigator Mark Fortune with the Gunnersville Police Department says Leslie Ward was shot at her home on Kelly Road last Friday. He says she was first taken to Marshall South before being flown to Huntsville Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. Police arrested her husband, Stephen Ward, for her murder. He's currently being held in the Marshall County Jail without bond. Fortune couldn't say what led up to the murder, saying it is still under investigation. Several neighbors on Kelly Road told me Leslie Ward had complained to them about Stephen Ward being abusive. However, she did not want them to call the police. Court records revealed both Wards were charged with domestic violence last year, though those charges were later dropped. Fortune advises, if you hear things, say something.
If we're notified about it, we can separate parties for a night. We can give them, domestic violence packets and resources and places they can go to get out of these kind of situations. It's like signs to look for. Just talking to people is the easiest thing. If you hear things, say something.
Fortune says this is the first homicide in Gunnersville this year. He says most of the homicides he works involved people who know each other well, as was the case with the Wards.
We typically have, one of these incidents per year, maybe two on a bad year. So no, it's very uncommon. However, when we do have these type of incidents, they're pretty close-knit and there's not, whodunits.
Stephen Ward is expected in court on Wednesday for an Aniah's Law hearing. Fortune asks if anyone has more information to call the Gunnersville Police Department. Reporting in Gunnersville, Faith Delp 48 News on your side.
And now let's talk about the stock market for a bit. Stocks have been a bit shaky and uncertain over the past week following President Donald Trump's announcement that imports will be heavily taxed. This has also led to many people's 401ks losing thousands of dollars. Now on Friday, the stock market saw its worst drop since the COVID-19 pandemic began. President Trump, however, has maintained that these tariffs aren't going anywhere. He says they're needed to even out the trade deficits the U.S. has with other countries. 48 Sarah Grace Kennedy spoke with Huntsville financial planner Aaron Howard, who says it might not be in your best interest to look at your 401k right now since the market should eventually bounce back. But he does recommend reviewing your entire portfolio if you are getting close to retirement. Take a listen.
Now, you want to be very careful not to make emotionally charged decisions. Those are statistically the worst thing that you can do and usually lead to long-term potential damage to your overall portfolio. So there's a very big difference in making a quick decision because you're scared versus actually reviewing your portfolio for risk. What I've told anyone who's called in and talked to us is that, hey, look, we are in this for the long haul. We've developed on the front end a long-term plan. And so we know markets go up and down. And as much as it may feel like, hey, I just want to get out and protect myself, statistics tell us that's usually not the best option right now. And so you have to look at each individual on a case-by-case basis.
And now coming up after the break, we'll talk about some big names in music coming here to the Tennessee Valley and an annual chicken wing festival coming back to Huntsville this weekend, all for a great cause. We'll go through it all in 1 minute. All right, the time is up. I don't know if y'all were watching the little second-hand clock up there, but it showed that I had more time than I had, but I said 1 minute and I am back. Hello and welcome back to Before the Four. Now, what's my age again? That's right, Blink-182 is coming to the Rocket City. The band this morning announced a new tour titled Missionary Impossible with special guest Alkaline Trio. With 20 cities listed, they are set to hold their concert on September 22nd at the Orion Amphitheater. Tickets are set to go on sale on April 11th. But a big music name there. And speaking of music, Shoals Fest, it's coming back. That's right, after 2 years, Jason Isbell's music festival in Florence is making its return. Festival officials announced the dates and the lineups on their social media pages this morning. The two-day festival will be held on October 11th and 12th. The lineup includes Jackson Brown, Jason Isbell, and the 400 Unit, and more, including street magician Steve Trash. Pre-sale tickets are available April 10th at 10 a.m. using the passcode Shoals. Tickets go on sale to the general public on Friday, April 11th at 10 a.m. Alabama locals can access an exclusive one-day-only in-person pre-sale at Rocker Gallery on April 11th from 12 p.m. until 6 p.m. But some exciting times to be a music fan here in North Alabama, without a doubt. But now let's talk a little about this awesome annual Chicken Wing Festival that helps raise money for cancer research and treatment. The Battle of the Buffalo, one of my personal favorite events here in the Rocket City, is coming back this Saturday to Big Spring Park. It all starts with the Salmon Run, a 5K to help raise money for both cancer research and treatment. And then at noon, there'll be tons, and I literally mean tons, of chicken wings, all for a great cause. Today I spoke with two UAH students involved with both the Battle of the Buffalo and Alpha Tau Omega. Their names were Mark and Deshaun, and take a listen to a little of what they had to say about this weekend's event.
First year Battle of Buffalo was in 2008 in the basement of one of the buildings on UAH's campus. That was a really small event. Since then, we've grown. It was at the parking garage on campus. We moved to the small side of Big Spring Park, and then 4 years ago, we moved to the big side of Big Spring Park. So every single year, we've grown this event, and it's getting to the point where it's expanding past where we can even have it now. So we are recruiting volunteers both from campus as well as beyond that as well. Just because this has gotten to a size where there's going to be 10 to 12,000 people at the park. We're serving 14,000 pounds of wings. So this has gotten to the point where it's beyond our fraternity. We're making an impact beyond just us. This is going beyond, Alpha Tau Omega. It's really cool seeing the impact we can make on this, on the people that are, people that have cancer, the people that are with both the research as well as the treatment.
70% of our proceeds go to the Russell Hill Cancer Foundation, and they provide that money to Clearview Cancer Institute, which is where that treatment part of our donations go. And like I said before, that kind of goes towards those, hand towel warmers and like different things to just help improve the actual conditions of treatment during your cancer. But the other 30% go to Hudson Alpha Institute for Biotechnology. And last year, for example, they were able to buy that bifocal microscope. And they use that 30% to get different things and to just advance that cancer research.
Really awesome event and really awesome things that it is helping benefit, without a doubt. Like I said, it's one of my favorite events here in Huntsville. It always happens early April, and it is super exciting stuff. I mean, they said there was going to be bacon-wrapped chicken wings. They said they were going to have this dragon gold sauce, some kind of special gold sauce there. It's got my mouth watering, without a doubt, and it's all for a great cause. So come on out to Big Spring Park this Saturday. Eat all the chicken wings you can stand. And also before that, you can get a 5K in, so you don't have to feel as guilty about eating all of those wings, without a doubt. But awesome event there. But now it is time for the good side. And today, one St. Louis rapper is teaching kids the importance of reading, and he's doing it in a fun way. Take a look at Byron Waters and his awesome Reading with Rappers program.
I gotta start from the top for the #1 spot.
Rap is ringing through the halls of River Roads Lutheran Church in North St. Louis.
I can flip it like a gymnast.
Woven into the lyrics are lessons in reading. It's the mission behind Byron Waters' Reading with Rappers program.
Okay, y'all ready?
Born and raised in St. Louis,
What about this one?
he grew up hearing stories about the struggles his great-grandmother faced being illiterate.
My mom always told me stories about every weekend how she would have to go to the grocery store with her grandmother and go all of these different places to help count the money for her. Just anything that had to do with her having to read.
I keep on falling.
Known as Zeus Rebel Waters, he travels the country performing 80 shows a year. But when he's home in St. Louis,
You like that haircut?
he finds his purpose in the classroom.
They all watch videos, they all, watch YouTube, so it's like somebody show it to your classroom that look like a video that you watched last night, and you gonna look at that and say, oh wow, and he's talking about reading and talking about stuff that's positive. Maybe it may make you say, well, I can still look this way, but I can be totally different.
His mission is one teachers and parents say is desperately needed.
You know how we were just practicing?
Summer Beckett sees many of those struggles firsthand.
It's an epidemic. It is a crisis to me.
As a language arts teacher, she says the pandemic wreaked havoc on children's education. Now, they're falling even farther behind.
It is not uncommon to walk into a classroom and the majority of the students be reading at a level that is completely below where they're supposed to be at.
That's where she says parents come into play.
You may have a seat.
Helping to reinforce what's being learned in the classroom. It's something Janet Wood takes seriously with her kids at home.
We read when we're driving. I have flashcards in the car, and it's just an everyday thing. So if we say stop, I'm going to say S-T-O-P. Say Geo, pick that up. I'm just going to spell things out.
Jaquita Dorsey's daughter is in 2nd grade, in the thick of learning how to read.
It's a daily thing. It's in your daily activity, from the packaging on snacks to just, regular magazines.
The women say it doesn't have to be complicated, but it does have to be a priority.
First, we always start out with word of a week. So we always just pick a word randomly. I let either a kid pick it or I pick, that we post on a refrigerator.
And those efforts at home don't go unnoticed.
Without my mom there to help me, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Rock what you got.
A simple rap, keeping kids engaged, helping to better their lives, one beat at a time.
Caroline Hecker, First Alert 4.
Such a sweet story there. I love it so much. And that is just about it for today's Before the Four. I hope you all have a fantastic night. Stay tuned for Weather Extra tonight at 9:30. Stay tuned for our evening newscasts. But I hope you all have a great night. And as always, thank you so much for watching.